Hello everyone, George Sloan from Ford University. Today I'm going to talk about the concept of getting knowledge and skills quickly. One of my favorite movies, sci-fi movies, is the movie The Matrix. And there's a scene in there where Neo, when he first gets into the Matrix, is starting to upload knowledge and information and skills very quickly. And he gets a series of uploads, and then suddenly he turns around and says to Morpheus, "I know Kung Fu." And Morpheus says, "Show me." And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, quite frankly, we believe in learning it fast and applying it faster. Learning it's just not enough. It's when you start to use it, and that's when you really get good at things and get better. So take a tip from the movie The Matrix. Upload, learn it, and then use it. The new state of higher education. It's a joke, people. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan from Ford University. We don't believe in degrees, no fluff, no filler, no BS. Um, I like to think in terms of us being in the matrix when it comes to higher education. Lies, myths, and false half-truths that we don't believe. It's only when we see it in action that we understand. Listen, if it worked for your granddad or it worked for your dad, that's great, but today it's off track. It's not the same. So I always like to think of the scene in The Matrix because, again, we believe in applied knowledge here. The scene where there's rapid uploads. Neo goes and gets uploaded knowledge and information. He turns to Morpheus and says, "I know Kung Fu." Morpheus says, "Show me." Again, application. Don't just get the knowledge, get the application and get real world results immediately. Go into every weekend with a plan. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan from Ford University. I believe that everyone should go into every weekend with a plan to get better, a plan to improve. Uh, what you really want to do is break it down. You want to do some learning, you want to do some doing, and you want to earn results and outcomes because once you start doing that, again, all the little wins start to stack and it gets incrementally better. You get incrementally better. So always value the weekend. You know, my favorite weekends are rainy day weekends when you can't really do anything outside, for example. And what you can do is on a Friday night, pick up a book or read about something. On Saturday, spend some time, doing it, practicing it, testing it. On Sunday, think about putting it into a, report, a plan, something that's tangible, a deliverable that you can walk into work with or you can walk into your business with on Monday and have a positive impact and a change, right? So you always want to go in to a weekend with a plan. And the idea is you should come out of the weekend better than when you went into it. If you want to learn more about this approach and other approaches like it, visit myforduniversity.com where you can learn it fast and apply it faster. Hello, everyone. George Sloan from Ford University. Another quick one for you. Let's talk about the three-step learning loop. Learn enough to get started. Then actually start doing it. Learn and by doing. Then do an evaluation. What worked, what didn't, make adjustments, and then rinse and repeat. You go through that process, not only will you learn it, but you'll reinforce it and you'll get better at it. It just happens automatically. Again, you won't even be aware that it's happening. It just happens real quick. So go for a situation where you learn something, apply it, and then reiterate and improve upon it. That's kind of what we talk about here all the time. Learn it fast, apply it faster. Just-in-time education. This is a concept I've been kicking around, and I'm going to share it with you kind of as a preview because I think it's going to be next week's concept. But I'm gonna share it with you a little in advance so you kind of get the thought process behind it. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan from Ford University. Um, I'm always looking for ways to hack when it comes to self-improvement and education. And one of the things I think about a lot, because I think that in many ways I do this, I'm going to call it just-in-time education. If you're familiar with just-in-time manufacturing, you'll get an idea where I'm going with this. But let me backtrack and give that detail to you. Just-in-time manufacturing basically is a concept that says don't have massive inventories of parts, materials, and such. Set things up and have your system and process so aligned that what you do is the parts and materials to manufacture your product arrive at the factory simultaneously. You don't have a warehouse full of things. The parts that you sub out and get from someone show up the same day that you're going to be installing them, possibly in the same hour. So as the assembly line is going and moving along, the parts are coming in and they're going right into the vehicles, for example, if we're going to do a car situation. So my thought is, what if we turn this around a little bit and we called what I'm about to suggest just-in-time education? What does this mean? Well, you're out in the real world and you're a problem solver. I'm a project manager. I work and solve problems all the time. I do a lot of planning. I try to avoid having problems and but I do have to be ready for them. I have to have contingency plans. But let's talk about this concept of just-in-time education. If you're going to work on something that you're not as familiar with, you might want to get up to speed. And the way you would do that is, hey, a new project has come along, and I am looking at a situation where I have to build out a solution, and I don't have enough information. Now, typically, I will turn to subject matter experts, or SMEs, or SMEs, as for short, as we call them. Um, but a lot of times, when I know that I'm going to be dealing with something and I'm not as fresh on it, or I need a refresh on it, I will go and get a quick education. I will do some Google searching. I will watch some videos. I will do some chat GPT. I will turn and look to, books. I will get myself up to speed very, very quickly so that I have the base knowledge and can ask intelligent questions almost immediately. Uh, and I've done this all along. The funny thing is, I typically use a lot of pieces from different models and frameworks, and I put them in combinations that fit my situation. But say, for example, I'm working on something, and hey, um, I haven't really done anything with electrical lately, just as an example. Well, I might do a quick refresh. Or if there's some kind of new technology coming out, I'm always open to looking at new things, even down to software programs. I will actually go and get myself up to speed on something just in time for me to use it in a particular project or situation. I am confronted with a particular problem. Hey, what are my possible solutions? I have a few possible solutions for this, but let me go and just check and get a quick education. Maybe things have changed. Maybe there's something new that I don't know about yet. And I will go and get up to speed on what the latest and greatest is. And I might find that, hey, I had three possible solutions, but there's a new one that's even better than one of them. And I'll include that in my solution set. And then I will obviously make my recommendation as to which one I would recommend. But again, going back to my 1-3-1 model, one problem, three possible solutions, and one recommendation based on the best information available at hand. So, getting back to this concept of just in time education, it's a way to get what you need as you need it and solve problems as you need it. The other thing is, if you're like me, I do a lot of iteration. I will actually go and I will look at things from the perspective of, okay, it worked, but could it work even better? Or it didn't quite work. Can I tweak it and make it work? Or, hey, it didn't quite work and maybe there's a better way. And what I will do in my iterations is I will sometimes look at the new information and data and feedback and go and do a little research. And in my research, I may come across something. Again, just in time, dealing with problems as they come. So here's the thing. You don't need to know everything about everything, but you should know how to get a quick update, upload, upskill at the critical moments when you need it. And you should be able to ask the right questions, and you should be able to know where to turn to get good information. Again, subject matter experts are invaluable. They are very attuned and in line with their particular area of expertise, and you want to draw upon them. But you should have a basic knowledge and understanding that you can sit there and go, okay, Mr. or Mrs. Subject matter expert, tell me, I've heard that this is the newest and latest and greatest. Can you give me a little information? Can you enlighten me? Can you expand my knowledge on that? Again, you want to be up to speed enough with just-in-time education to make sure that you're able to ask those intelligent questions and then be able to garner some good insights from folks. The other thing is, um, sometimes you kind of learn backwards, and I think the whole idea of this just-in-time approach might make more sense. Listen, when you're starting a business, you need to learn the basics to at least put the systems and processes in place. So you probably want to learn, a little bit about how this type of business functions and what some of the basics are that you have to have in terms of, getting research on customers, finding the customers, converting the customers, and then building out from there and building out your back end in terms of customer support and fulfillment. So you sometimes folks will worry too much about the back end when they should be worrying more about the front end, or vice versa. So you want to make sure that you're learning what you need to know to get things up off the ground. As you build the foundations of the business, once you get past a certain level, then it's time to go to the next level. And that might mean that you need to get some additional knowledge and skills and look into some things that you hadn't had to consider before because you weren't there yet. The life cycle of the business didn't require it back then, but now you do. So these are some of the questions, approaches, and ways that you might want to think about. And as I say, I think my approach of just-in-time education makes a lot of sense. So real quick, to give you an idea of where you might find this kind of stuff, like I say, I will go to Google and do some searches. I will then go and look at some videos on YouTube, for example. I will then go beyond that and maybe do some chat GPT. I will refer to books. I will sometimes take a little mini course. I will sometimes do a mini certification. Sometimes I'll go and take a larger course, and other times I'll go and get a full-blown certification. Uh, the the number of resources out there that are available to you are numerous, a lot more now than they were in the past. The problem is sometimes a little bit of noise, but there is a process to kind of weed through these things and get the basic knowledge and education that you need to deal with the problem at hand. And if you know that you're going to be working on a particular project in the future, what I will sometimes do is preemptively go and start boning up on a particular knowledge set that I might need to know about. If I'm going to be dealing with something that involves, I don't know, a project that might be impacted by weather, I might go and do a little research and education on what the impacts are. What I might get some historical data on what the weather patterns might have been, and I will also look into, say, for example, we're dealing with concrete. There's certain temperatures that you need in order to do concrete, get a good pour, and have it work. You might want to look into asphalt, for example. That has impacts. So I will then go and dig into it a little bit. Again, not that I'm going to be the expert on it, but I'm going to know enough to ask the questions of the expert on it because I did a little just-in-time education so that when it came time to handle that particular project or problem, I had an idea of where to go. The other thing, I'm always looking and trying to understand what the future is going to look like, what's going to be cutting edge. Say we're talking about, how digitization is going to impact, say, facilities management or a particular, you know, area of project management if we're talking pure construction. If we're talking, I also do projects where I work in doing, digital and IT. I will go and look into some of that. Again, I am going to look for a guy or a gal that knows, digital more and better than I do, but I still need to have a basic foundation, and I will get that through what I call just-in-time education. So if you're looking to stay cutting edge, if you're looking to stay relevant, and if you're looking to be effective at getting real-world results and solving problems, I highly recommend you look into the idea of just-in-time education. You don't need it, years in advance per se. What you do need it is, a few weeks or a few months in advance, or as you're actually solving the problem. Again, I'm going to build out a full-blown concept on this next week, but I figured, I'd share it and give you a sneak peek into where I'm headed with this. And I'll create a more structured framework for it This is more the general concept right now, and I'll structure it in a more digestible format. But if you're interested in these kinds of concepts and this kind of approach and this kind of thinking, please visit myforduniversity.com, where you will learn it fast and you will apply it even faster. Do you want to really learn something? I mean, really learn it? Then try mentoring someone for it. Good afternoon, colleagues. George Sloan from Ford University. Welcome. We're going to talk real quick about the idea of reinforcing your own learning as well as sharing it with somebody else. One of the best ways to learn something is to teach it to somebody else. And mentoring is probably one of the best ways to do it because, again, you're passing on the knowledge and basically replicating yourself. Is another way to think about that. Furthermore, you actually, as a mentor or a teacher, get something out of it because you're going to reinforce your knowledge and understanding, and you're going to see it in a new light from their perspective with fresh eyes. And you might uncover some unusual and new things. So, if you want to learn more about this sort of thing, visit us at myforduniversity.com, where you learn it fast and apply it faster. Got to constantly upgrade your skills, people. The world is moving faster each and every day, and it's only going to get worse, worse or better, depending on how you look at it. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan from myforduniversity.com. I want to share with you some ideas real quick on what you can do going forward. You want to make sure that you're staying up to date. You don't want to be stagnant, because if you're stagnant, you're falling behind. You need to try new things. You need to be brave, have some courage, and step out. Some things might not work for you, some things might work for you, but until you give it a shot and are aware of it, you'll have no idea. So be brave, be courageous, and try new things. You want to do more of this? Come on over to myforduniversity.com and we will show you how to learn it fast and apply it faster. Hello, everyone. George Sloan from Ford University. You want to learn something fast? Well, there is a principle you can apply. Repetition is the mother of learning. What you want to do is learn something, apply it, rinse, and repeat. The more you do it, the quicker you're going to get at it, and the better you're going to get at it. After a while, you won't even have to think about how to do it. It'll just come naturally. And that's, again, one of the guiding principles here at Ford University. Learn it fast, apply it faster. What did you learn this weekend, this week, or even this month? Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan, Ford University. Want to talk real quick about the idea of constantly looking to learn, and not just learn, but to apply. So you should always be looking to upskill, upgrade, always be looking to expand your knowledge and, of course, apply it. So if you need some ideas, here are some things you can do. Take a look at some concepts. So pick one, two, three maybe, and focus on it. Pick a method, a model, a framework, a process. Um, these things, many of them can be learned very quickly and applied almost immediately. If you want to go a slightly different route, maybe you want to look into learning a particular type of software. Maybe you want to get a certification or maybe even a micro certification. Or some totally new information. Obviously try to pick something that is related to what you're doing, but always look to expand your knowledge and capabilities. The other thing that you might want to think about in terms of learning is learning about yourself. And maybe what you need to do is set aside some time to do some self-reflection or review. Let's go back over what happened today, this week, or last week, and what did we learn from it? What worked? What can we do more of? What didn't quite work? Can we adjust, or do we need to find a way to get rid of that? Always sit down and do a sort of key learnings, and you can do that through self-reflection. If you need an approach, I'll give you one in a few simple steps. Pick a few of the above, and then set a deadline. I'm going to learn this today. I'm going to learn this weekend. I'm going to learn this week, or I'm going to learn this month. So think in terms of, picking something and setting a deadline to it. And then, of course, I always like to say to people, start small. Start small. Get the simple, quick wins. Big things have very small beginnings. The key is beginning, actually doing it, starting it, applying it. Once you start doing it, you're going to skill stack like you wouldn't believe. Um, I would always recommend sitting down, picking a few things, and then going deeper. So if you want to learn more, and a lot of these different things are available on myforduniversity.com, pay us a visit where you can learn it fast and apply it faster. Intellectual curiosity and open-mindedness. These are something you really need going forward. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan from iFord University. Today, I'm going to talk real quick about the idea of maintaining intellectual curiosity and an open mind. Uh, you don't want to be closed-minded. Things change, and sometimes you have to change with them. So what you want to do is you want to look at things with a new set of eyes, and you want to constantly ask questions. And why do you want to ask questions? Because that's how you find out. That's how you learn, and that's how you can make better decisions. So ask questions that start with what if and why. That's my second and my first favorite question. You've heard that before, or you'll find out if you go into myforduniversity.com. It helps you identify and look for new possibilities. If you want to know more, check out the articles over on myforduniversity.com. We're going to have you learn it fast and apply it faster. Okay, we're going to do a quick one today. We're going to talk about why you're not learning fast enough. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan from iFord University. Why aren't you learning fast enough? Well, I'll give you a few ideas. I have some notes on what I had thought about this, and most people confuse consumption with learning. You can sit and read book after book, but what we talk about at iFord University all the time is you need to apply what you've learned. That's how you cement it. That's how you solidify it. Next, I kind of hinted at this. Reading books does not equal learning. Learning is application of skills. Great to get the knowledge and skills. You need to apply it immediately so it sticks. Another one. Uh, Here's the approach that you need to take. Read, try, do, and then learn. And you're probably not going to succeed the first time. So always work on it. Always, reiterate, pivot, adjust, and keep moving along. Next, retention is not equal to reps and real world reps. Okay. Um, I just completed a 60-day challenge on top of a 30-day challenge, so a 90-day sprint. And a big part of why I pushed for it, one of the reasons was I wanted the reps. Because with the reps, you experience things, you figure out what works, what doesn't, and come up with new ways. So if you're interested in this kind of thought process and this kind of application of skills, you should visit us at myforduniversity.com, where you will learn it fast and apply it faster. The smartest people ask dumb questions. We've touched on this before, but repetition is the mother of learning, and it's worth revisiting this one. Asking better questions sometimes comes from the perspective of asking what people would consider dumb questions. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan, iFord University. I'm going to give you a technique, an approach to getting smarter, getting results, being a leader. And that is, it's not a bad thing to ask dumb questions. Smart people do it all the time. So, the best question I ever asked sounded dumb. But sometimes when you ask what would appear to be a dumb question, you get profound insights and you get a situation where you might save time or money or a big mistake from happening. It's not unheard of. I always like to think of the movie Philadelphia with one of my favorite actors, Denzel Washington, where he plays the lawyer, and he says, "Explain it to me like I'm 5 years old." And that kind of gets you down the right path. You'll see that leaders will sometimes ask seemingly meaningless questions, and quite frankly, they are the most meaningful question being asked because everyone is kind of all caught up in the glossiness. Sometimes that simple question is the key to the whole thing. So one of the things that I mentioned, one of the dumbest questions I ever asked was, why are we doing it this way? If you've been around long enough, one of my favorite questions here is why, and my second favorite is what if. But I ask why. Why are we doing this? And many times the disturbing answer I get, and the one I got that particular time that the instance I'm thinking of, well, it's the way we've always done it, and everyone's comfortable with it. I said, what? That's your answer? I tried to be as nice and not be rude about it, but I was like, well, you know what? Times have changed, things have changed, and maybe it's time for us to consider some new decisions. And those new decisions might be involved in checking a new way to do it. And it opened up a whole new perspective. And again, it appeared to be a dumb question, but it was the key to the whole thing. As I said before, that's what usually comes from those little silly questions. Here's the things I've learned, and I've made a quick little list for you. Dumb questions reveal broken systems, kind of like the example I was talking about. They expose assumptions, and you know how I feel about assumptions. I can't stand them. I believe in my NASIC model. My NASIC model is never assume, suspect, investigate, and conclude. Always look into things. Don't just accept things at face value. Next, they challenge legacy thinking. Remember the example I just gave you? That woman that said to me, well, everyone's kind of comfortable with it. Yeah, they got comfortable with it because it was, simplistic and easy. But what worked 5 years ago ain't working now, folks. And you need to make some adjustments. You need to upgrade. You need to make some changes. In fact, you're probably working twice as hard when you could make your life even easier if you just made a few simple tweaks. It's not rocket science. The other thing it does is if you want smarter answers, you just ask the stuff that no one else is brave enough to ask. I did a thing before on standing out. One of the best ways to stand out is once in a while you got to play devil's advocate. And sometimes playing devil's advocate, you're going to ask the question that everyone is thinking but is too afraid to ask. And I am a big, firm believer, if you want to be a leader, you need to demonstrate courage. And I've said demonstrating courage means if the emperor is naked, you say, hey, that guy's not wearing any clothes, and standing up for it. So if you want to learn more about this, my Ford University is built on asking better questions, having concepts, models, frameworks, tools to help you make better decisions. If you want to find out more, visit us at myforduniversity.com, where you will learn it fast and apply it faster. You're stuck. Maybe you're asking the wrong questions. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan from Ford University. Going to talk about being stuck and how to get unstuck. And what I'm going to share with you is kind of a mindset that I think would be highly worthwhile exploring. And if it works for you, adopting it. So if you find that you're stuck, you're probably asking the wrong question. The question that you're probably asking is, why can't I do this? And the problem with that is it is kind of a closed approach. It's kind of a negative approach, and it will probably lead you to a dead end. The question you should be asking is not, why can't I do this? The question you should be asking is, how can I do this? And the power of changing that, number one, you've now made it a positive. You're not Debbie Downer looking at the negatives. You're now looking at things positive. It's more of an open question, not open-ended and closed-ended. It's more of an open situation. And it gets you to start thinking outside the box and coming up with solutions. Not wah, I can't do this, and why can't I? Instead, how can I? And your mind will start working on it, your subconscious mind will be working on it, and you will get creative and find ways to make it a reality for you. This is something that is, a mindset shift. It's worth exploring. I highly recommend you give it a try. And the thing that I would say is try it in a number of different elements of your life, personally, professionally. Uh, you know, how do I do this? Is a positive, not a negative. Why can't I do this? So start thinking in terms of that. If you want to learn this methodology, this method, and other ones like it, I highly recommend you visit us at myforduniversity.com, where you will learn it fast and apply it faster. The real reason you're stuck. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan from Ford University. I'll talk about getting stuck. Most people, they're stuck in their thinking, or they think they're stuck in their thinking, but what they really need to do is start the doing. It's very easy to get stuck overthinking things. I mean, it's probably not lack of knowledge or skills or expertise, it's lack of execution. You just, you're too scared to take the leap and make things, move along. Always got to get ready, got to make sure that the conditions are right. Well, guess what? The conditions are never going to be right, and you got to do something. So, if you really want to move yourself along, all you really need is one good idea, just one good idea, and execute on it. Start doing something with it. You got to act. Again, you can prepare. I believe in preparation, but not analysis paralysis. We've talked about that. So, take action, get some data, adjust, repeat, improve, and rinse and repeat. Iterate. Again, you're not going to get it perfect the first time. Well, maybe if you get lucky, but for the most part, you got to do something. And I'll tell you this, motion beats perfection every single time. Every time. So stop overthinking, get yourself unstuck by getting moving. You start doing something and things will happen for you. Okay, you want results? Try this. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan from myforduniversity.com. If you want to get results, I'm going to give you a few things that you should be trying because, quite frankly, it makes the world of difference. You should be trying various little challenges for yourself, little sprints, little surges. The time frames I would recommend: do one day, do a weekend. I love weekends. Get a lot done on a weekend. Do a week, do a month, do a quarter. Do a series of little sprints, challenges, surges, and you will start to get a rhythm for it. Why do you want to go shorter? Well, I'm going to tell you. Number one, it's going to limit procrastination. Procrastination creeps up on you. It's like a silent killer for dreams, goals, and ambitions. So that's number one reason. Number two reason is it ups the iterations. What do I mean by that? Well, if you work in very short time frames, you end up upping the number of iterations that you can try. Try something, doesn't quite work, look at it, tweak it, try it again. Repeat, rinse and repeat over and over. So if you want to get results, these are some simple tactics to make that happen. If you want to learn more about this and other concepts, visit myforduniversity.com where you learn it fast and apply it faster. Okay, you don't need an MBA degree to know what an MBA knows. I'm going to tell you how. Welcome, colleagues. George Sloan from myford University. You don't need to go and get an MBA degree to know what an MBA knows. Honestly, it's all out there. It's all free if you want it. You've got to dig for it in some cases, but it's there. All the knowledge and skills, all the concepts, models, frameworks, processes, they're all there. You just got to dig them up. Now, there are some places you can get it where it's kind of synthesized for you. That's what I'm doing at myforduniversity.com. But it's there. The real key that an MBA holding degree holder is not going to be able to beat you on is, did they learn how to apply it? Did they learn how to deal in the real world, or were they too busy in case studies and theories? I would venture that you'll actually be able to outperform them. So being able to get the knowledge and skills is the easy part. Being able to apply them is the real trick. And what you need to do is find an approach to get the knowledge and skills as quickly as possible in a streamlined approach, in a way that shows you how to turn around and immediately apply it, which is why I always talk about the best thing to do is actually do a few deliverables as, work product samples. Um, when you learn the MBA skills and knowledge, build a little business plan, build a marketing plan, build a strategic plan, do a competitive analysis, do a customer profile, do a market analysis. Um, any number of them require a certain combination of knowledge and skills that an MBA has that you can get easily. If you're looking for a way to find that curated approach that helps you succeed and apply it quickly and get positive results and outcomes in the real world, I highly recommend you check out myforduniversity.com, where you can learn it fast and apply it faster. We are one answer to help you make that happen. Please check us out. We'll see you the next time. Thank you.